What is the one thing that stands between you and your goals, the one obstacle that you can't seem to overcome, no matter how hard you try? Is it a lack of motivation, a shortage of time, or perhaps a deficiency of resources? As we delve into the concept of self-improvement, we often find ourselves facing a multitude of challenges. But what if I told you that the greatest obstacle to your success is not something external, but rather internal? The idea that the mountain is you is a profound one, suggesting that the biggest hurdle to overcome is not the external circumstances, but rather our own minds, our own thoughts, and our own limitations. This concept is rooted in the idea that our perceptions, beliefs, and attitudes shape our reality, and that by changing ourselves, we can change our circumstances. As we explore this idea further, we'll discover that the journey to self-improvement is not about climbing a physical mountain, but rather about conquering the mental and emotional barriers that hold us back. As we begin this journey, it's essential to understand that self-improvement is not a destination, but a continuous process. It's a journey of discovery, of growth, and of transformation. It's about recognizing our strengths and weaknesses, our values and beliefs, and using that knowledge to make positive changes in our lives. But, as we all know, this is easier said than done. The truth is, most of us struggle with self-doubt, fear, and uncertainty, which can make it difficult to take that first step towards change. One of the main reasons we struggle with self-improvement is that we often focus on the wrong things. We try to change our circumstances, our environment, or the people around us, instead of focusing on the one thing that we have complete control over, ourselves. We try to climb the mountain, instead of realizing that the mountain is us. This is a fundamental shift in perspective, one that requires us to take ownership of our lives, our choices, and our actions. It's about recognizing that we are the creators of our reality, and that by changing ourselves, we can change our world. As we explore this idea further, let's consider the concept of the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. Those with a fixed mindset believe that their abilities, intelligence, and talents are fixed, and that they are either born with them or not. On the other hand, those with a growth mindset believe that their abilities can be developed, that they can learn and grow, and that challenges are opportunities for self-improvement. This mindset is essential for overcoming the obstacles that stand between us and our goals, because it allows us to see challenges as stepping stones, rather than roadblocks. But, how do we develop a growth mindset? How do we overcome the limitations of our own minds and become the best version of ourselves? The answer lies in the concept of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and to understand how they impact our lives. It's about developing a deeper understanding of ourselves, our values, and our beliefs, and using that knowledge to make positive changes. Self-awareness is the foundation of self-improvement, because it allows us to identify the areas where we need to grow, and to develop strategies for overcoming our limitations. As we cultivate self-awareness, we begin to recognize the patterns and habits that hold us back. We start to see the ways in which our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are interconnected, and how they impact our relationships, our work, and our overall well-being. We begin to understand that our thoughts are not always reflective of reality, but rather a product of our own perceptions and biases. And we start to develop the skills and strategies necessary for overcoming those limitations, for changing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and for becoming the best version of ourselves. But this is not always easy. The journey to self-improvement is fraught with challenges, setbacks, and uncertainties. There will be times when we feel like giving up, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, and when the progress is slow. But it's in these moments that we must remind ourselves that the mountain is us. We must recognize that the only way to overcome the external obstacles is to first overcome the internal ones. We must develop the resilience, the perseverance, and the determination to keep moving forward, even when the journey gets tough. As we continue on this journey, let's consider the concept of resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to adapt to change, and to thrive in the face of challenges. It's about developing a strong sense of self, a sense of purpose, and a sense of direction. Resilience is essential for overcoming the obstacles that stand between us and our goals, because it allows us to navigate the ups and downs of life with confidence, courage, and determination. And it's developed through practice, through experience, and through a willingness to learn and grow. Now, let's talk about the role of mindfulness in self-improvement. Mindfulness is the practice of being present, of being fully engaged in the current moment, and of letting go of distractions. It's about cultivating a sense of awareness, a sense of clarity, and a sense of purpose. Mindfulness is essential for developing self-awareness, because it allows us to tune into our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and to understand how they impact our lives. And it's a powerful tool for overcoming the limitations of our own minds, because it allows us to develop a sense of detachment, a sense of observership, and a sense of control. As we explore the concept of mindfulness, let's consider the idea of meditation. Meditation is the practice of training the mind to focus, to concentrate, and to cultivate a sense of inner peace. It's about developing a sense of calm, a sense of clarity, and a sense of purpose. Meditation is a powerful tool for self-improvement, because it allows us to develop a sense of self-awareness, a sense of resilience, and a sense of determination. And it's essential for overcoming the obstacles that stand between us and our goals, because it allows us to develop a sense of focus, a sense of direction, and a sense of motivation. But, how do we apply these concepts to our daily lives? How do we use self-awareness, resilience, and mindfulness to overcome the obstacles that stand between us and our goals? The answer lies in the concept of intentional living. Intentional living is the practice of living with purpose, with direction, and with intention. It's about setting clear goals, developing a plan, and taking consistent action towards achieving those goals. Intentional living is essential for self-improvement, because it allows us to develop a sense of focus, a sense of direction, and a sense of motivation. As we cultivate intentional living, we begin to see the world in a different way. We start to recognize the opportunities, the challenges, and the obstacles that stand between us and our goals. We begin to develop a sense of confidence, a sense of courage, and a sense of determination. And we start to take action, to make progress, and to achieve our goals. We start to realize that the mountain is us, and that by changing ourselves, we can change our circumstances. But the journey to self-improvement is not a solo journey. It's a journey that requires support, guidance, and community. It's about surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us, who motivate us, and who support us. It's about finding mentors, coaches, and role models who can guide us on our journey. And it's about developing a sense of connection, a sense of belonging, and a sense of purpose. As we near the end of our journey, let's consider the concept of legacy. Legacy is the impact that we leave on the world, the difference that we make in the lives of others, and the memories that we create. It's about living a life that is meaningful, purposeful, and fulfilling. Legacy is essential for self-improvement, because it gives us a sense of direction, a sense of purpose, and a sense of motivation. It's about recognizing that our lives are not just about us, but about the impact that we have on others, and the difference that we make in the world. And, as we reflect on our journey, let's remember that the mountain is us. We are the creators of our reality, the authors of our story, and the architects of our destiny. We have the power to change our lives, to overcome our limitations, and to achieve our goals. We have the power to develop self-awareness, resilience, and mindfulness, and to use those skills to overcome the obstacles that stand between us and our goals. In conclusion, the journey to self-improvement is a journey of discovery, growth, and transformation. It's a journey that requires us to recognize that the mountain is us, and that by changing ourselves, we can change our circumstances. It's a journey that requires us to develop self-awareness, resilience, and mindfulness, and to use those skills to overcome the limitations of our own minds. And it's a journey that requires us to surround ourselves with support, guidance, and community, and to live a life that is intentional, purposeful, and fulfilling. So, as we move forward on our journey, let's remember that the power to change our lives is within us. Let's remember that we have the ability to develop self-awareness, resilience, and mindfulness, and to use those skills to overcome the obstacles that stand between us and our goals. Let's remember that the mountain is us, and that by changing ourselves, we can change our circumstances. And, let's take action, let's make progress, and let's achieve our goals. Now, I want to leave you with a challenge. I want to challenge you to take ownership of your life, to recognize that the mountain is you, and to start making changes. Start developing self-awareness, start cultivating resilience, and start practicing mindfulness. Surround yourself with support, guidance, and community, and start living a life that is intentional, purposeful, and fulfilling. Remember, the power to change your life is within you, so take action, make progress, and achieve your goals. And, finally, I want to ask you to like, subscribe, and comment below. Share your thoughts, your experiences, and your insights, and let's continue the conversation. Let's support each other on our journey to self-improvement, and let's remember that the mountain is us.